Hello, good morning. Oh, how is everyone doing? Cheers. Sorry, I got distracted just then when it popped on because I was just watching my video feed in YouTube Studio and my concurrent viewers dropped by half like 3 seconds before the thing switched. Weird, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, hi. Good morning. Yeah. Oh, that was a loud slurp. I apologise. Yum. I hope everyone is well. I can't believe how much skepticism there was for my thumbnail. It's like people don't believe. Like people thought I was clickbaiting. This is no clickbait. The whole cast is here. Who's the cast? Hey, Cable Tie. You talking about here? Somewhere else? I am sounding... I might cough a couple of times during, but you know what? I booked a doctor's appointment for yesterday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and yesterday my cough stopped. It always happens, right? If I would have booked another doctor's appointment like end of last week, my cough would have stopped end of last week. Yes, I know I'm streaming. Thank you, Apple Watch. So, yeah, you definitely played with that. What did I play with? The clickbait. Well, okay, sure. No, but this is legit. This is actually legit. So, it seems that I can't avoid the chat kind of, directing me where they want it to go when I have an idea. So, I thought, let's actually give it a try for real. I've actually written some specs that I'll bring up on the screen in a moment. And so, yeah, how are we going to do this? I will brief you like I'm the client, right? On what I want to achieve, and I will let you guys go with it, right? I'm not going to physically build stuff live because I can't, because you'll understand once I tell you what it is. Intimate text just saying hi. Does that mean you're leaving? Hi and bye? Don't go. Maybe we know you don't take on our suggestions very well. No, I do take on your suggestions when I'm asking for them. Sometimes I get them shoved down my throat when I'm not asking for them, right? But, that's okay. It is what it is. So, yeah. Don't expect the chat to help. We did not help Brian much last. I know I was chatting with Brian about that yesterday. That was rough. Poor Brian. Okay, so I'm going to quickly say hi to folks in the chat, and then we will get going. Graham, good morning. I'm glad you didn't wet your bed. Deshipu, hello. David Essa, hi. Braden, good morning. Johnny, Azzy, hello. I hope you're well, mate. Paul, Crazy Roops, Christopher, Andy Day, hello. Bruce, hello. The music surprised you. Do I need something quieter again, do I? Hello, Mike. Mike and Cable Tie both obviously wet the bed this morning. Rob, hello. Rota, good morning. Embedded Hobbyist. Intimate Tech. X-Micron, hello. Jerker, Pull the Curtains, Carsten. Folknology. Yumbo Prime, yay. Hey, John. It's John McRae, got lots of Johns. John Meeking, see? James, hello. Aaron, good morning. Oh, I have my Discord open, but I'm on... What is going on with Discord? I am on deafen and mute. And can you hear this only happened recently after the last Discord update. That's really frustrating. Dave Darko, good morning. Mako, Hojad, hello. Station 240, hi. Who have I missed? Christian, hello. Okay, it jumped. Aloka, hi. I'm going backwards now. Joe. As he said, he's good. That is good. Andy Mouse. Anthony, hi. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Backwards. Oh well. Okay. Does anyone know how to mute Discord when it's muted? That's really annoying. Okay, I'm redoing it. Clicking again. Hopefully, put it in stream mode. What does stream mode actually do if I put it in stream mode? Any idea? I've never known. And I want to keep it open because people post to Discord during the chat. Peter, hello. I'm sorry, Peter. Never want to miss you. Jerry, hello. Marius, hi. Hey, Christos. And Michael. Marinus. Oh, God, lots of names I missed. Or they just came in. Okay, if I missed anyone, Brad, hello. I apologise. 2 a.m. in India, that is crazy. Go to sleep. Okay. I'm on the live chat channel in case anyone does post there. Specification creep. Okay, so I'll tell you what it is, and then would you like me to go through the ideas I've come up with already? And to be there are ideas that I've come up with and discarded, but only because I don't know how to build them, or they are going to be too dangerous. You'll understand what I mean in a moment, right? It won't work, so you need to use lever switches, right? This is going to be fun. Okay, what I want to do, my plan was to design a little PCB edge cleaning machine. Now, straight up, I know you can buy all these different things, and I'm not discarding any of them. Like, there's depaneling tools, and I can't afford a proper PCB milling machine. Not to make PCBs, but to cut edges. They're really expensive anyway. But there's depaneling tools and all sorts of things. I'm not looking for a depaneling tool, okay? What I want is outsource it. Yeah, well, outsourcing it would be the smartest way. We can call it PCB McLean Face. Sure. Hey, Dustin. McLean Face. Hello, Fred. McLean Face is fine. I don't mind. You can call it what you want. So the idea is to clean two edges of the PCB at the same time, going through a machine. And so I'll explain how I do it at the moment, right? Oh, no, I closed the window. Okay, I need to bring up... I just realized I just closed my browser window that had the page on it that I wanted. I don't need a chamfer, I need a clean edge. Where is search? What is it? Belt sander. I'm currently using a belt sander. I'm actually currently using this one. I'm using this belt sander at the moment. The top of it, anyway, right? Wow, can I make it bigger? I can make it bigger, but it does that. Okay, so at the moment I'm using a belt sander, and what I basically do is, like, all the boards are pulled apart, right? And then I go like this, and I've got gloves on, I've got a mask on, and I go, turn it over, and put it in a container, right? And I've done 25,000 boards, easy, cleaning my edges like this, right? And I'm pretty fast at it. The problem is, it's messy. Like, FR4 goes everywhere. I've got like a enclosure-ish around it, right? Now, this is not the camera thing we're doing today. This is a new project, right? Well, I'm going to let you guys run with the idea. The problem with doing it like this is, especially when I'm doing a lot of them, it's firstly really easy to have it go flying off the belt sander if I haven't gripped it properly. It's also has to be exactly put down with perfect precision to make sure that it does a nice clean without cropping the edges off, right? And I was wanting, and all the boards have to be broken apart first, and they're all over on the bench that this is sitting on, and it's messy. So what I've had in my head for a while, Small rubber roller pushing the boards through. Right. Well, I don't want it to do it on this. Oh, I just realised I've taken it off the screen. I don't want to use this. I want to reinvent this as something small. Hey, Sebastian. Okay, so what I was thinking of doing, I'll show you my idea of the idea that I had. Okay, and to give you an idea of the direction I wanted to go, right? So I was thinking of a small, like a conveyor, right? This is from the side, and then if I look from the top, right? Oh, you can't see that. I need to go the other way. Here we go. And they would have some type of, whether it's round little sander things or whether they were belts this way. So this is looking from the top, right? And the PCB would be on a conveyor or something that would go through this way. Now, the sander has to go the opposite direction. So the sander would be rotating this direction, which pushes against the board, and something pushes the board along. So I'd get a tiny Pico, would go on the board, and I'd put it on, and it would go zoop and fall off the other end. Fall off into a little container or something, right? So something is pushing it along. So can I suggest, before everyone starts with all their ideas, just, I haven't given you the specs yet, so just hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay? Okay. I'll bring the specs up. So here are the specs. Okay. It can't be any longer than 30 centimeters. I know, when does everyone wait? I know, but it's easier to know the specs first before we start throwing ideas out, right? It's got to be variable width. It doesn't have to be precise, but what it needs to be is there needs to be something pushing this way, right? I can't change the width of it all the time, right? So, I've got a tiny Pico board that has to go through, I've got a Feather S2 that has to go through, very different widths. I don't mind moving it a bit, but there's got to be some type of, like I was thinking originally, elastic bands is all it needs. Something that's pulling it in, so when the board comes in, the board pushes it out, which gives it the pressure to clean the side. Does that make sense? It's got to be rugged. It can't be fragile, okay? Like, it can't kind of pull it, it can't be flimsy. I don't care how heavy or anything it is, but it's got to be solidly built. There needs to be a clean end. Clean end meaning that the opposite end of the direction that the sander is going, so if the sander is going this way, then the clean end has to be this end. So all the FR4s are getting pushed away from the clean end. And the motors and everything else has to be here. The motors can't be in the middle. They'll get filled with FR4. Okay? So the motors and the electronics have to be in the clean end. And it can't damage the boards. So, that's the specs. No, it doesn't have to be precise like that. Station 240, no. So that's the thing. And it's not about sanding a certain amount. So when I put the boards on the belt sander, I'm just lightly touching it. It's just going to be a light touch. All I'm doing is taking the FR4 off the edge. If I just come back to here for a second. What I want to end up with is, if I can focus, go for it. See that clean edge? That straight edge? That there has been sanded. Right? There's one side, there's the other side. Okay? That's just a light touch on the sander. All it does is gets rid of, I wonder if I've got, let me find something I can break and show you what I'm cleaning off. Right, I'm cleaning off anything like... Might not be able to see on the white. It could be as simple as this rough edge here, right? Or it could be messier. You see all those? That's what I'm cleaning off. So right now I literally go zzz, zzz, gone, right? That's all I'm doing. It's a slight touch. So like when I drew this, it doesn't have to be this long. It could almost be just a round, 2 round things that it goes through, right? It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be belts really. Like I was originally thinking 2 of those Dremel sanders, you know, but no, not 2 Dremels. 2 Dremel things that were, you know, on some type of spinner, it goes that way and that way, using some Lego. Yeah, it doesn't need angle grinders. So these things just need to be, like if they were on an elastic band, I know elastic band's not durable, right? But if that was on an elastic band, so when the board gets pushed through, it pushed them apart, that would be it. Just enough that the pressure of pushing them apart and that going zoop through there would clean it. Maybe spinning soft wire brush. I don't think a soft wire, I don't know. I've only ever had success with sandpaper. I've tried lots of different things and it's not even super fine sandpaper. It's moving so fast and I'm doing a light touch and that's all it needs. Can you just do it like a swipe card along the edge? I don't want to manually do that. No, that's the thing. That takes time. So the whole idea is this is supposed to take less time and less thought. Right? Right now, I need to stay super focused when I'm cleaning boards or I'm going to damage them. Right? And I've damaged boards. Right? All I need to do is put it down on an angle briefly and I can rip the edge off one of the pins. Right? Or if I'm not careful and I'm not holding it properly and I put it down, as soon as it hits, it goes flying across the garage, right? I want something that I don't have to do the work. I put it down and it goes through. This is my ideal. It might not be possible, right? But the ideal is it's got to be something that I'm not doing the work on because then that introduces user error. How do we send you drawings live? You can do it in the live stream on Discord. On my Discord, doing the live stream chat. That way I can bring it up on the screen and everyone can see it. Not after this has nothing to do with the production line. No, this will be done separately. Right, this is after I've gone through and I've inspected the boards and I've fixed anything on the boards I need to do. I always fix the panels first. I pull them apart, I clean them, and then they go in the test jig. I don't put boards in the test jig that have not been cleaned because I don't want FR4 and stuff in the test jig. Clean before. I can't clean before. How do they go on the pick and place machine if I pull the panels apart before they go on the pick and place machine? No, cleaning cleaning happens before testing, the first round of testing. Gravity fed downwards motion. Right, the other thing is, and I'm telling you now, right, from experience, the board has to move in the opposite direction to the rotation of the things. There can't be odd angles. You can't make the sander move this way and the board move that way. Okay, if the sander's going this way, the board has to move that way. Or it has to be stationary. Like it'd be the issue with building something like that drops down, like I do manually, is it's going to take me longer to load the board into the thing that drops down than it will be for me to just grab the board and do this, right? Well, you don't need something to keep it down on the conveyor if it's going opposite. I don't think. Right? Or I don't know. Like if it was on the conveyor and whatever was holding it and pushing it along the conveyor, right? And the sander's going that way. No, there can't be water. No water. I'm not looking at, no. I'm not looking at it. No, it's got to be sandpaper, ideally, is what I'm looking for. The sharp, no knives. A knife won't do a clean edge. That's the problem. So, like, I'm probably going to buy a depaneling tool. Do you know what I mean by depaneling tool? Let me show you. Penalizing. No. LED. Wow. So I'm trying to use Google Images, and it's really not. Okay. Yep. Here we go. Did you try what happens when I use deburring? But deburring tools are too manual, right? I used to sit there with a knife cleaning the board edges. That's not what I want. Right, they're really big ones. I'm looking at something small. Oh God. What's the best I can? Not like a different shape to this one, but so this is a depaneling tool. Right, that's a better image, right? How do I make these images bigger? Can't. That's really annoying. Is there no bigger image? Okay, I don't know why bigger. So these are designed to separate panels, right? You push the panel through and it separates the V-score. But they don't give you a clean edge. Okay? What they give you, unfortunately, is the edge of the PCB. If that's the PCB here, you get just a slight, like this where the V-score is. Right, because the V-scores are messy. Like you might not be able to see under the camera, but the V-scores can actually be quite messy, quite thick or thin. It's pretty average stuff, and so when it cuts through, you don't get a nice clean edge. Control Shift will zoom in. I don't think so. Okay, I didn't have to do anything. I could just... Right, it just took time to load. If I hover over it, there you go. This is a single blade, but you can get... Right, this one here is a 2-blade. Except this one won't let me hover. Right, that won't let me hover. Edge is much cleaner than breaking with these. Hey, Tiny, LED Matrix. What do you mean edge is cleaner than breaking? Right, but I still have to clean the edges. I want to ship a flat edge. I don't want to ship a even a depaneled edge, preferably, right? But look, I'm looking at buying not this. I'm not going to spend this much money. I can get one for about $1,600. Shipping is going to be the problem. Look at the shipping. Right now, shipping is horrific. But I'm prepared to try one of these. Maybe you could set up a disc sander rather than a belt sander. No, so I've got a disc sander as part of my belt sander, and it's much harder to do. Right, my process on the belt sander is by far the best solution I've got. Having done, as I said, over, probably close to 25,000 boards now. Die, vacuum compressed air, 2-die grinders with carbide. Vacuum. Right, it's got to be something that I can build, Chris. It's got to be something I can design and build. Right, that isn't going to cost me thousands of dollars and take months and months and months and whatever. Like, okay. I'm looking for a simple, if we can, a simple solution. So, yes, Avum, I think that's how you pronounce that. It's just the long edges I want to clean. I'm going to change how I panelize my board to not have to clean the short edges. But there's no point doing that if I don't have a solution for the long edges, right? Because right now, I clean my short edges using the same process. It's the way I depanelize them. So it's the way I separate them that allows me to do that. I'd rather not have to clean those at all. So AVM has the right idea. Some classic flat sander, or two of them, spring-loaded, move the board with some type of conveyor belts with cleated, however it is, take the board into place with some guardrail on the top. Well, yeah. Right? I mean, I don't understand how vacuum... It's got to be 30 centimetres long, and it's got to be fairly narrow. I don't know how I'll do vacuum, compressed air, grinders on the sides, and I don't want grinders. I don't know what a die grinder is. Carbide burrs on sprung guides. Right, it can't damage the boards. Yeah, that depaneling tool that Clo42, whatever his channel name is, that was for mouse bites. No, this is for V-scores. So this is cleaning, not depanelizing. I don't need to depanelize, I need to clean. It can't be more than 30 centimeters long. It doesn't have to be 30, it can be 20, it can be 10. Can't be more than 30 centimeters long, because I'm space limited. We tried all these stone tumblers with a PCB. I have a stone tumbler. I've not tried it with a PCB. I don't think that would be a good idea. Not with components on it. How many boards loaded once? Just one board at a time. No hopper magazine. I want to put them on one at a time. Because here's the thing. The time it takes me to load them in, I can just do them myself manually. It's got to replace the manual labour time. Vertical mounted 2 or 4 flute router bits. But so the problem, Gary, the problem with the 1-inch pins to fit the headers is the loading time to get them on while the conveyor's moving. If it's got to stop, and then I've got to put a board on, and then it's like... What value do you see in having clean edges? Because I personally hate it when I get a PCB shipped to me that I paid for that doesn't have clean edges. I don't know. I can't ship boards that don't have clean edges. I think it looks terrible. I think it's just bad presentation. Routing the boards, then tipping. They are V-scored. I'm talking about cleaning the edges after they've been separated. Because you can't clean the edges sideways. Because as I said to you, the board has to sit the opposite direction to the movement. Cannot. You'll destroy the board. Did we suggest lasers? Guys, look, here's the thing. You wanted to help design, like every stream, there's always help design. So, but I'm the client and that's my brief, right? So, lasers can't work. Lasers are cool, but it's got to be like, So this is going to be so bad. Why is it going to be so bad? Employ a little man to sand the boards. Sure. Well, my laser cutter won't cut FR4. To get a laser cutter that can cut FR4 is horrifically expensive, and setup time to depanelize that way would be twice as long than me doing it manually, and I've got electronics components all over the board, and I'm running lasers everywhere over it. It's not designed by committee. Right, it's there's stacks of smart people in the chat. You're all offering suggestions all the time on any of my ideas. So seriously, let's see if we can come up with something that could work, right? But it's got to be realistic. Many of you have mentioned, but this is not something that I can build, Chris. Can you show me a picture? Give me an example of what die grinders with carbide. Like, I personally don't think carbide burrs are the way to clean the edges of the PCBs, personally. But show me an example of something like that. Show me pictures. Look on Discord, okay? Right, that's basically what I drew. Except that won't work mechanically, right? It's got to work mechanically. It's a good start, but that's where I already was, right? The problem with that is, how does the conveyor work, right? And I mean, you know what I mean? Like a conveyor's got to be built out of that, which means there's got to be motors or something moving the conveyor, right? And there's got to be something turning those sanders, but the things that are turning it, the motors, can't be anywhere near them, right? Which is what I wrote on the specs. But yeah, that's basically what I drew before. But sorry, that also won't work because the sanders are fixed to the width of the conveyor. It can't be, right? Because the sanders need to move in and out, but the conveyor can't move in and out. Some boards are wide, some boards are narrow. So the sanders need to come closer and further apart. Maybe like this carbide tool. Now that would chew and destroy the board. That would kill the board. Yeah, that's... Sorry. I can't make these bigger. I mean, I can click on them. Right, think about what you're suggesting here. Flexi shaft grinders so motors can be well away. How did the big kids solve this? The big kids will use a very expensive milling machine to depanelize the boards, right? Very expensive milling machine. The last quote I got for the cheapest I could find was going to cost me about $75,000, right? Because it's not a normal milling machine. It's a milling machine that can take a super fine bit that can basically go where the V-scores are, that narrow, and separate them all with a nice clean edge without breaking the bit. Can use it to headers as a sort of a belt guide grip. So I was planning on doing that, Dave Darko, but then I couldn't work out how I'd build a conveyor that would have little nubbins sticking up that held the PCB that would also spin around and come back up again. And how would I, because different widths and lengths of the boards, how would they adjust widthwise? Like if it takes me 20 seconds to load a board in to be able to get cleaned, I might as well just... No, it's not a CNC router with a 5100K spindle. Sometimes, Chris, you're so flippant with your comments, mate. But seriously, so I'm going to take a panel that's got, a $500 panel of electronics, and I'm going to stick it under just a CNC router with a super fast spindle. Am I? I don't think so. Okay, I'm not cutting aluminium or wood or whatever. There are special machines designed for separating and depaneling boards as a milling machine, and it's not a standard CNC. Okay, you've used them. Okay. Can we change the specs? Well, let me know how you're going to change the specs. Hey, so I have no clue. I only use like a hand sander on something small to clean the edges. Right, well that's kind of what I'm doing now, but I'm using a belt sander now. So I moved from using a knife, right, which was the cleanest way I could do it, to hand sanding on a static sanding, right, to using a belt sander with a lot of care. And I've done like majority of them, like over 20,000 I've done on the belt sander. And look, and it works. It's just, it's messy, and it's like FR4 everywhere, like everywhere. You can't contain it, right? The speed that the belt sander's going, it just, FR4 dust goes absolutely everywhere. I've got two vacuum, it needs some type of vacuum to, right? Anyway, got two vacuum systems on it, and it just, yeah. Very high health hazard, yes. You don't want to breathe in FR4. It's messy, yes. Yeah, the conveyor would need to be thinner than the thinnest board. Or narrower, sorry, yeah. I know they are, but the direction you're going, so on a PCB that's 1mm thick, that's designed in layers, you can't go vertically down on it. You can't rotate vertically down on there. You just destroy the boards. Yeah, I wouldn't ever. Not on a handmade, you know, it may be on a $100,000 machine that's been tried and tested, but I would never design something that I had to build myself that had that type of motion to clean one of my boards. It would, yeah. Despite the desired speed doesn't have to be super fast. Well, I don't know. I don't. My current belt sander is not variable speed adjustment, so it goes as fast as it goes. So the purpose is to. My consistency is good, so it's safety, and it's removing me or another person from having to do a shitty job, where you need to concentrate for a long period of time. Like, think about it. I destroy one board, that's $20 US down the drain. Plus the time it took to build it. Right? Flap wheels. I don't know what flap wheels are. I'll drop some discs off. We spoke about discs, Alan. Disc sander doesn't work. So the problem with the disc sander is the directions it goes. It's pulling the edge of the laminated board in all the wrong directions. Right? You can't... I don't want to go perpendicular to the board laminating. I want to go... So I don't want to go parallel to the laminating. I want to go perpendicular to the laminating. Do you see any of the devices in the picture that might meet your needs? Well, in which picture? Sorry. The, really good, the teeth are spiral. Go along the length of a board. So you're talking about flat discs? So discs spinning flat with the board going through? Is that what you mean, Alan? Yeah, clamping the board on the conveyor, I don't know. So, as I said, the pin headers are problematic because the boards are different sizes, different widths. And if it takes me longer to load the boards than it does to clean them by hand, then it defeats, it possibly defeats the purpose. And what's that Sebastian saying? Consider to not do both sides at the same time, left and right. Well, that's what I do right now, left and right, but that is slow, right? But if I have to load a board and get one side done and then take it out again and then reload it to do the other side, that's, again, it's I'm not sure what I'm going to get on that. Sorry, Quixotic Geek, I didn't mean for this to be triggering. Like this is... Okay. Yeah. If this is annoying anyone, please let me know. We don't have to do this. I thought that chat might really enjoy this because, like, legitimately enjoy it, because it's something that everyone seems to want to do all the time, regardless, right? Okay, Chris is giving up. Cool. Well, I am, Chris. I asked you to provide me a picture of what you suggested so I can look at. But you haven't. Like, you're telling me a whole bunch of, this is the way you do it, but then you're not showing me. So show me. Like, it's got to use pink LEDs. Conveyor left side plus guide. Oh, so it goes in the one pass, it does the left and the right? Sure, but why can't it do both at the same time? Quick sort of. So am I. Like, So what is that, Chris? And how would I mount that? I need two of them. So is that air controlled, is it? Hey, Photochromax. I just realized. So what is on the end of that? So that spins from air, does it? So that would replace two Dremel type sanders or two whatever they are on the sides, right? No, I don't need to sand the ends. As I said, I will change the way I panelize boards to not have to sand the edges. No problem. But I'll only do that if I've got a solution for this. Otherwise, I'll keep going the way I am right now. No, I don't want to cut the edges. I want to sand the edges. They need to be sanded or whatever, not cut. Cutting is not what I'm looking for. It could possibly. I think the conveyor might have to move too fast, possibly. But yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I know that when I was manually doing it, going like this once was not enough to get a nice clean edge. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Depends on how much build up, right? So I don't know if static sandpaper would be enough. Okay, so okay. But you also mentioned, Chris, that I need a vacuum to hold this and that. Like, okay, so something like that. This, what is it? Was that a depurring tool? I don't even know what it's called. I've not seen one of these before, right? Okay, so if that was mounted and rotating on the sides, on each side, and the board went through that, fine. I still need a mechanism to get the board to go through. Only one side needs to, the back remain fixed. The rear grinder mounts under. The rear grinder. I'm confused. Can you draw it, Chris? What's a flap sander? Can someone send me a picture of a flap sander? Yeah, routing does work, but we're talking about, is that what the flap sander was? That, right, okay, there was a picture before, but I didn't know what that is. Wheel with flaps. Okay, you got to remember how small and delicate these boards are, guys. I don't know how big that picture is, how big that is in real life. That looks quite big, right? How much space on the long edge, top of the board is there? Very little. Look at the tiny Pico. There's no space. There's nothing you could grip the board with. Like the board, it would have to be something that was held at the back that pushes it along. Or, yeah, like it can't even slot into anything. There's no place to slot. Okay, so you can get Dremel ones. Okay. Cool. Okay. Because I was looking at just the normal sanding discs, but then I thought to myself, they're going to wear out really quickly, right? Especially because it's going to be the one height. Like unless they moved up and down, it would wear out just in one line on it. Like one of the ideas I had was to just manually push it through with my finger, right? So I don't have to worry about the whole conveyor. If it was a flat thing with an adjustable, you know, hang on. So like I was thinking that if whatever was on the sides, okay, so if they were some type of flap sander, it wouldn't maybe matter. But if it wasn't, then if it had kind of this shape. Like if it was belt driven, but it was like this on each side, rather than flat, then I could just, right, with my finger I could just push a board through, right? I could just go zoop and it's done, and then I don't have to worry about a conveyor or anything else, right? I mean that could work. Okay, like this takes way less skill and effort than me, you know, making sure that I hit exactly straight and exactly straight. Doing the long edges of the panel. Not of a panel, of a single board. Not a panel. The board, these are pulled apart already. I'm cleaning this edge, not the panel. We'll look for a supplier I have found in recent times where on the web you can look at some of his diamond type tools. The problem with all the different tools is I don't know what I'd put them in and how I'd mount them and build the thing with it. Well, guide rails or no rails if I manually push through. A 3-position control clamp for each end. Stop the board falling. Yeah, that sounds super complicated. I'm really not looking for a drilling milling solution, Aloka. I'm really not. Keep 2 of these on both sides. I can't have those at the sides where the things are spinning, because they'll fill up with FR4 and they'll get destroyed. Needs the board to be held in a specific place for the small time you need to sand it. Possibly, Mark. Possibly. I don't know. Not 100% convinced by that, although I can't think of how a conveyor might work. I'm not grinding the sides, Fran, and I'm not that's what I'm trying to explain. It's a light touch. It's a very light touch. Okay, we're talking about very light pressure. So I don't think one's going to get sanded more than the other one. Because I'm not taking the edge off. I mean, I wish I could show you. It's just a really light touch. I know, cable tie, that's the thing. Like, I'm use a leather strap like you would sharpening a blade. Yeah, I didn't think about a leather strap rather than sandpaper. Must have it held from the x-axis. Yellow is from below, blue is from above. Yellow is the belt. Need to CAD this to make it easy to understand. Yeah. What's the... Oh, sorry. Chris just sent a picture. I don't understand where the board sits with this. So, hey Aaron, using a jig instead of my hands, the problem is I've got to load it into the jig and take it out. And that will take twice as long as just doing it by hand, right? So, yes, and accuracy is not a problem. I'm concentrating. Like, I've not damaged many boards. Like, out of over 20,000 boards I've done this way, I've maybe only personally damaged maybe 5 boards. 5 boards out of 20,000. That's okay. What happens when I bring someone on and ask them to do it? Okay? You know what I mean? Like, it's the when I damage a board, I think to myself, you idiot, Sion, right? I don't want to have a staff member standing there with the stress of damaging boards. And what happens? Hey, Neil. So I'd rather spring-loaded clamp. Right, but anything that I need to load and take out is going to be slower than what I do now. Rub 2 together. I've done that before. Don't laugh. Board runs down the belt between the 2 torque bits. Each edge gets contact with whatever engagement you want. It's part essentially exactly like a joiner planer would work. Okay, so those 2 things would have to come in and out, though, for the width of the board, and it can't be something I have to move. It's got to be something that has can't think of the word. I would recommend you try a carbide burr with a spare PC. How do you clean the edges with that, though? Fran, do you have a picture or something as an example? Have a gap all the way down the center of the guide rails. I can't do this in here. I'm quite happy to not use sandpaper and use something else, for sure. Something that's got longevity, and I don't have, like, I got my sanding belt, like, I need to clean it, like, every use. I need to vacuum off the whole, not just the belt sander, but the actual sandpaper, because it gets completely clogged instantly with FR4. I don't know what grit it is, but I've got, it's not the finest grit. Like, I've got reels of fine grit that I never put on there, because this actually works really well. It's going so fast, and I'm just doing a light touch. I get a perfectly nice edge, as you saw in the picture. The grit's kind of, doesn't matter, right? But that's because of the speed it's going at. I would think that a slower speed, then I would need a finer grit. Use rubber to remove dust from sandpaper. Rubber? What do you mean? How? I vacuum it. It's fine. Like, it comes out perfectly clean. Like, I've not changed, in 20,000 boards, I've not changed the sandpaper once. But I need to vacuum it constantly because it clogs up and becomes less effective. Yeah, there can't be a guide rail above the board. Different heights, different type shapes. And it can't be clamped on the side. Rotary tool. What is this? Sure. But I don't want to manually be pushing along edge and edge. Like, what I'm doing right now would be way quicker than doing that. I looked at something similar to this. It wasn't this. This actually looks way better than the thing I looked at. Like, someone did a DIY version of this, which was quite interesting. But yeah, this would be a slower process still than using what I'm doing right now. Right, but the track could be 3D printed, but how would it work? And how would it adjust for different width boards? And how is it going to hold the board steady? Especially if it's 3D printed. Do you have this, Johnny? I've got the Dremel, but the actual, I actually really like this. And I actually like, that's interesting. That's cool. A Dremel drill press. Thanks for this link, Chris. I might grab these anyway. Oh no, it was Gary. Sorry. No, who linked to it just then? It was Chris, right. I might get one of these anyway. I'm often cleaning, so Bob P asks, is that Bob Powers? I wonder. I'm often doing, 100 to 200 at a time. I actually do less now because it's laborious, right? So I normally max it at 100 at a time, because by the time I've done 100 boards, I'm getting fatigued, concentrating, you know what I mean? Up and down, and the amount of FR4 going everywhere builds up. So I try to limit it. But there was a period of time, like when I'm doing an order for 3,000 or 4,000 boards, there's a period of time where I might be sitting there doing 500 boards at a time, right? And that's the thing. Like I could never ask a staff member to clean that quantity of boards the way I'm doing it right now and not expect them to damage a whole bunch of boards, right? It's unrealistic. I can expect myself to do that, but I don't think I can expect a staff member to do that. And that's why I'm trying to look for something that could be better. But if it takes twice as long or 3 times as long, or has so many, excuse the expression, moving parts that it needs a lot of maintenance and whatever, then that's also defeating the purpose. What's the design mission? Trimming the edges of PCBs after breaking them off. Yes. Okay, different Bob. Sorry. Thanks, Bob, though. Okay, 200 times seems like something you can do with human labour. Right. But it's... When I say 200 at a time, like 200 and then a couple of hours later, 200 and then a couple of hours later, or that afternoon, 200, and then the next day, 100 or 200, and then a couple of hours later, like 200. That I'm limiting the number at a time to reduce my fatigue. The number of boards I need to do is massive. It's moving down. So Gary just drew, what's this Proxon micro shaper? Hang on. This, I've got now chats coming from both directions. I'm trying to read both. I apologize if I've missed anything. But I wouldn't ship one. Firstly, I wouldn't charge less, and I wouldn't ship one with unclean edges. Sorry. Like, I don't charge my time cleaning the board edges when I ship it. I just refuse to ship the boards without it. Because it looks terrible. And it's because it's dangerous, because the FR4 can flake off. Like, and get on your fingers, and you can breathe it, and you can get it in your mouth, inhale it. Like, yeah. Needs to be controlled by a monkey. I'll add to the... No, I don't know that. I'm back to making stacks of them first and then sanding them all by hand. No, stacking tiny Picos together to sand the edges of them is not a good idea. Sorry. They'd need to be stacked into some type of jig. They can't just be stacked and held, because I'll lose half of them. Right? And putting them in the jig takes more time than cleaning the edges of them. So that's just like the Dremel thing, but comes with the everything built in. Like, two of those next to each... Yeah, I don't know how I'd get my finger through, but like two of those next to each other, sure, like two guides manually push through. I would, yeah, the whole having to adjust the width all the time could be quite painful. What's a new idea from Star-Lord? I'm not selling the boards as they are. I'm sorry. Sure. Yep. Board gets clamped. Can't clamp it from the top. No clamping. Can't touch the top of the board. You have one of what? Which one, Gary? That Proxon? I'm sure this can clean an edge. If you're talking about this, I'm sure this will do a great job cleaning the edge. But you got to remember how small my boards are, right? And I'd have to put my finger through it. Like, I'd have to hold it with my finger and push it through. And this is still going to be slower than the sanding. And there's still going to be FR4 going everywhere. And I'd still need to somehow not get it in the machine and get it clean. There'd have to be a vacuum hose sitting right at the point, which potentially could be in the way of me getting my fingers through. Oh, metal rotary bit is good. Yeah, sure. I just couldn't work out how I could get a metal rotary bit into what I was thinking with my design. But I haven't built it because I couldn't think up how it would work. One way is to change the V-scoring to stamp holes. Stamp holes? You mean mouse bites? Yeah, either way, so cleaning the edges of mouse bites is way harder and takes longer and it takes way more precision than cleaning V-score edges. Need to add a feather board on the other side. So Rob's with Dave Darko on a stack. How am I going to stack 25 or 50 tiny picos in a jig? Think about it, guys. How am I going to stack 25 or 50 of these into a jig where just the edge is exposed and they're all perfectly lined up? And I mean, so 25 of them is going to be wider than my sandpaper. Like, how am I going to get them in and out of a jig and not break them and rip off the antennas or whatever? Yeah, very carefully. This board drops into the track. I don't know. I think your Hybotics possibly. Yeah. Air die grinders for an outboard spindle and spring it. I don't know what an air die grinder is. I can't use a push block to push a tiny Pico. Sure, Rob, it's a different problem, absolutely. But I've thought about the whole jig and doing multiple tiny Picos at the same time thousands of times while I've been cleaning the boards, and I can't think of a way of doing it that won't take longer and be harder than just manually doing it the way I'm doing right now. How can it get aligned properly for the edge headers when all the boards are different sizes? And I can't... Okay, yeah, yeah. I'd need to see your design. I need to see a picture, Hybotics, but I can't... Like, none of that sounds safe in terms of fragility of the board. The little pencil thing was an air micro and degrinder. Right, okay, okay. Okay, so this is Sebastian, so this is doing the two. Right, so that's what you meant by not at the same time. Sure, something like that, absolutely. What I mean by at the same time is the same pass. It doesn't have to be the same instant. They can be offset, this is fine. But same, I don't want to run the board twice, is all I'm saying, right? So like something like that could work, and I know I keep saying push it through with my finger, but that is the simplest solution, right? So I push it through with my finger. Like if there was some, like an aluminium base or something that was, you know, slippery, and those top bits were not fixed to it, so they could come in and out, right? Although I don't know what would stop that from doing this. So I get it's just a drawing, but it would have to be rigid. Like they'd have to be on guides so that it can't twist, right? So I have to basically make the fixture to accommodate the boards. There's no edge or... Yeah, there's no edge like that they can sit in. Bob? Like even the amount of edge you've got that it's sitting in there, it doesn't exist. You've got Come on. 0.4 of a millimeter. So I don't know how would they sit, how would they be held in place? I think both sides at once is going to be difficult to adjust correctly in practice. Yeah. Turn the whole thing on its side. What do you mean turn the whole thing on its side? In which one are you referencing? So are we talking about a loading jig now, as opposed to a machine? Have we pivoted? I don't know. It's hard to tell. There's very many discussions going at once. That's not the right board. Just to be clear, that's not the right board. Those boards don't get made anymore. The boards that get made right now have zero clearance on the edges. If you'll focus. Okay, look where the antenna is. Look where the button is. There's no clearance on the sides. Nothing it can be slotted into. Look at this one. JST on the side. Can't be slotted in. So it can't be a requirement that these get slotted into anything. Even a holder to clean edges or something. Like to do them all at once. I mean, turn the machine so the boards move vertically rather than horizontally. Vertically. Oh. Not sure, but it would still be the same. Like if the machine's this way and it moves one way, and you turn the machine, you're turning the board, it's still the same, isn't it? Oh, that was zoomed in. If the machine's like this and it's going this way, if you rotate the machine, you've got to rotate the board. It's still going the same, isn't it? Right, I'm breaking them. I can't use a pizza cutter. I tried using a pizza cutter at one stage. Yeah, the V-scores are not good enough to use a pizza cutter, and I mentioned before, I would consider buying a depaneling tool to at least depanelize the boards, but I still need to clean the edges. I can't use a pizza cutter on these. I'd end up running it over the components. Right, I've got too many to do. There are 20 boards on a panel, so there's how many? So as an example here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cuts to do on a panel, and I can't use a deli slicer. Look how close the components are to the edges. And some of these V-scores are so bad that I need sometimes use pliers to separate the boards. So, rope conveyor. How do you handle moisture sensitive components for all these boards? I go through the reels fast enough that I don't have to worry about that. All my reels get anything that has moisture sensitivity stays sealed until I use it, and then I check the whatever it's called, can't remember, the litmusy thing to make sure that they're okay. LEDs get baked if they've been sitting there for too long, but I'm unlucky at the moment that I'm going through parts quick enough that I don't have that issue. Yeah, and not all of my stuff comes in sealed bags like it should. But most of those components, have a much longer, like storage lifespan, and some of them don't. So, yeah. Consent before the board gets placed in the bag, left hand, PPE glove, finger, one thumb, right hand moves. Well, this is not before it goes in a bag, this is before it goes in a test jig. So you're suggesting I have some type of sandpaper on my finger and I clean the edges like this? Yeah, I'm not sure that's gonna. I'm gonna doing this. I'm clipping the edge of the antenna every time. Yeah. Sandpaper cylinder. What? Hang on. Good night, Gary. Thanks for joining. Sorry you have work tomorrow. If you extrude aluminium, buy some drive rollers, a motor, and a roll of sandpaper. Sandpaper cylinders, turn clockwise. But I have to push that along that edge, right? If I'm pushing it along the edge, then the rubber, there's no need for rubber. It could just be a fixed guide rail edge. Is that you being serious, Bob, or not? Kenneth's invested now. How to make tooling a machine. Can you recap the goal you want to achieve? And Ganga. Yeah, so that doesn't look complicated at all. No, I get that's just like a Dremel edge thing. I don't want to do two passes. I ideally want to do one. Yeah, that quick sketch of my. Which one was this one? Okay, right. Sorry. Sketch of my idea. Sorry, I'm missing things. Using rubber wheels that hold the PCB in place. I'll skip straight to have edges. Right. Dremel, sand, Dremel. So the Dremel's in the middle and rubber edges on the side. So then how would the thing come together or move apart? Is it the whole sides things would move? Dishipu, no, what I'm doing right now would still be faster than that. Like, if I have to move the board along, that, like, what I'm doing right now is like, I can't think of any solution that's faster than what I'm doing right now. So it doesn't have to be faster. You're not going to get faster, but I don't want it to be 5 times slower. Unless it was completely hands off. Right? And I don't think it'd be cleaner. Like, you're talking about if I'm doing it on my sander? It's not going to be any cleaner doing it that way than what it is right now. I've got 2 vacuum cleaners. I've got a vacuum cleaner on the sander, and I've got a vacuum cleaner above, right, really close. And I'm still getting FR4 everywhere. Like, everywhere. It's insane. But you're right that with some type of guide, it's going to be less prone to potentially damaging a board. I'm not looking for faster. So that wasn't a requirement. Wasn't faster. Cheers, Bob. It's obviously not for everyone. Did I see Azzy's? Where's Azzy's? Hang on. Where was yours, Azzy? Oh, here. Right, sorry. The Amazing Sea on Sounding Machine. Stationary motors connected by belts. Now, motors are away. Right. Move the board through manually. Setting up the conveyor, clamping things down, or having to hold down the rail more problematic. I agree. Sounding drums on a 3D printed mandrel could be replaced as they were out. Right, but they wouldn't have to be. They could be those things that that Chris mentioned, right? The burring tool things. They don't have to be sanding. Right? I mean, someone else could be operating it, then HNS becomes a strong requirement. It does. As I said, Neil, yes, I have to clean the edges. It's my requirement. I will not ship a board that doesn't have clean edges. Deburring tools, yep, very easy to replace, and that I would assume that would last much longer, right? But the motors can't be where the deburring tools are. They need to be away, because where the deburring tools are is where it's going to be throwing FR4 everywhere. So, like, a spindle like this would get full of FR4 in a day. And I couldn't imagine what would happen to something like that if it just gets filling with FR4 and I've got no easy way of cleaning it. If done right, the spindle never sees the dust. Maybe if done right, but who says I'm going to do right? I mean, I can't see how it wouldn't see the dust. Like, there needs to be space around the tool, right? The bit, and that space around the bit is exactly where the contact point is making on the boards. That space is gonna fill. Anyway, this is where a bed of nails testing programming comes in. The jig is probes on XYZ platform. So I don't understand. This has nothing to do with testing the board. This is to do with cleaning the edges. Or am I using that to position the board? Yeah, yeah. No, okay, sorry, that's been asked quite a few times, Neil, sorry. They use big milling machines. Like, very expensive, dedicated milling machines. And I'm not going to get into an argument about any CNC can do it, because whatever. There's a whole marketplace out there, if you look, for depaneling milling machines, both milling and laser. And they're specifically designed to separate PCBs with clean edges, and they're horrifically expensive. And the marketplace wouldn't exist if you could just use any CNC machine to do it, right? And I'm not taking a CNC machine to my boards. I am not going to stick pew 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 lasers. I'm not going to stick this which is 1 millimeter thick on a CNC machine, somehow work out how to clamp it still, yeah, and then let a CNC machine run through it to separate these boards. Like, that is just never going to happen. Yeah, I know, that's fine, Neil. Yeah, all good. Never going to happen. Lasers, yeah, you can. There's machines that will separate this panel with lasers, and they are super, super expensive, like $150,000 US plus. They run a tiny bit like an engraver. But I don't know. I've not seen, other than videos, I've not seen them in action in real life. Jager knife. I'm not putting this anywhere near a machine that has to have the precision. Yeah, no. Sure. $600 CNC from Banggood. Let's do it. Yeah. No, lasers. There are. Hang on. Well. Oh God, I can't spell. Oh, I don't know what that is. I'm trying to find the ones I've seen before. I mean, there are proper machines. There are proper machines that laser cut PCBs, right? I mean, these are not cheap machines. Anyway, yep. And forget your requirements. Slide 1, slide 2. It will also allow you to hold the board. What does this edge here do? I don't understand that. Why am I stepping the cut? I don't want to step the cut. Yeah, the lasers that cut PCBs are insane. Like, they're amazing. Like, absolutely amazing. But they're horrifically expensive. Like, it's just not... it's not viable for someone at my scale. Jonathan, that's what I showed before. You can get... Although I couldn't find a good one. You can get stuff like this, right? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, Chris. I would never, ever, ever, ever in a million years stick one of my panels in a machine like that. Sorry. I just wouldn't do it. Feel free to if you want to do it. But did I look at the spec? The specs don't matter. I don't care about the specs of the CNC machine, right? Like, sorry, I yeah. It's not designed... Capabilities aside, it's not designed specifically for this, right? Loading panels in where every panel is slightly different because the PCB manufacturer can't ever get the width of the edge rails correct, or the every length of the PCB and width of the PCB is out 0.5 millimeter, and the mounting points in one batch of PCBs that you get are in different places, and the having to work out every time I put a panel on a machine like that, having to work out where it's sitting and readjust and locate how it's not what it's designed for, right? Like, there are machines designed for this stuff that automatically go through and they do their optical inspection and they work out exactly where the panel is, and they, just like any other type of machine, and then they go and cut them visually with optical guides. I'm not talking about probing down, I'm talking about X and Y, where the board sits. Anyway, thank you, but I'm absolutely not, I'm not looking at a machine like that. That's, yeah. That's not... yeah. Tractor drive to push them through, foam pads... So where you're pushing them from the top, I'm not sure how foam pads... Is that from the top, cable tie? Hey Yaz, what's the topic? Okay, I mean, that won't work. Well, I don't know how that would work for something like the Feather S2. It's got the big JST connector and stuff. I'd rather push it with my finger. No joke. I thought I was about to buy something new. So, Yaz, you know when I say to you, hey, I'm just going to go out to the garage and clean some boards? Yeah. I'm trying to solve or improve that. Yeah, I'm not sure having to push them through is the... You know what I mean? That part can be... I'm happy to do that part manually. If there are guides there, so there's no way I can push it through not straight, then that's okay. A CO2 laser won't cut FR4. Well, sorry, I lie. Maybe a 400 watt CO2 laser will cut FR4. My 80 watt CO2 won't even scorch FR4. But my fingers would be away from the high speed bits anyway, because the bits shouldn't be... The bits should be sticking out the tiniest amount, right? Because I only want to just touch the edge of the boards. So, I mean, okay, admittedly my finger is wider than a tiny Pico. That's a problem. Yes. I'm going to shave the edges of my fingers off. Okay, my finger pushes it through, or there's a rubber stopper. What are those things? Those pens with rubber on the end? Right? Like this, push it through, that's fine, whatever, right? If the guides are holding it still. Maybe the hole needs a conveyor and everything else is the problem here. Maybe we get rid of all of that. Yeah, I'm not looking at... What I'm looking for is not to separate the panels, it's to clean the edges. I think Chris's original idea... PCB separator, products, in-series... Okay, hang on. Let's just... Okay, so Chris just linked to this. Right. I want to run the video. I want to see what... cutting speed, axis, resolution, 0.2 to 5. What's the minimum cut it can do? The minimum cut width it can do. It doesn't. I can't find. Can we find that? Do you know what's the minimum it can do, Chris? I want to see. I want to. Hang on. I want to see what this does. Oh, that's got a camera. Wow. Yep. Right. So that's separating from mouse bites. Like, which is a totally different scenario. I mean, look at the width of that bit. And I get you could possibly put smaller bits in it, but that bit is like 4 times wider than the V-score gap. Now, how much is this machine? And this is not, that's other CNC that you posted, right? So where's the price on this machine? I've got to do an inquiry, do I? Is there a model number? AS3A. I don't know. I'd love to know the price. We can't redesign the biscuit. The problem is existing simple boards. Yeah, well, no. I've got the boards separated. I want to clean the edges. Yeah, I'll send them an email. I'll inquire. But I mean, the milling machines I've seen are, yeah, very different to this. And one second, folks. Hold on. I need to... Sorry. Okay. I will contact them. I'll contact them, but I'm expecting that would be I wouldn't get much change out of $10,000 to $12,000. So I've been looking at universal vacuum tables. The problem is, how do I hold down something this size on a universal vacuum table? Like, and if you're talking about, if we're back to the panels thing, that's a different story. So I'm just having a discussion with Yuz. So our lockdown didn't finish midnight last night. It just got reduced a bit, and kids are going back to school today. Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, when you can't find the price and you need to do an inquiry, you know it's going to be a buck a ton. And the other problem right now is shipping. So shipping is just horrific. Like, whatever this is in terms of cost, I can tell you right now. Wow, I can't click the right thing. Whatever this is in cost, the shipping alone of this thing would be about $4,000. Yeah, look, this looks interesting. Honestly, Chris, I've never seen anything this small before. But yeah, it depends on the price and availability. $78 kilograms. Yeah, this is going to cost a fortune to ship. Thousands of dollars. Why can't I highlight the text? They've done it in a way that you can't. It's just an image. Oh, God, that is so annoying. AS-3A. Oops. AS-3A PCB separator price. Hey, Brian. No, depenalizing. You mean the pizza cutter ones? Yeah, send me some pictures, please. I'd like to have a look. The problem with the pizza cutter ones, the cheap ones anyway, is like the manual push ones, is I don't know if they're going to have the right clearance to get around stuff like the JST connector right on the edge of the Feather S2 and stuff, right? The automatic ones, you know, maybe. Yeah, look, send me some photos. Do you have the manual push one, Jonathan? Right, this is what I'm used to seeing. I can talk or I can wait. I guess I'll wait. Like I'm used to seeing machines like this that depanelize. Maybe not that big. I've seen smaller mat, but you know what I mean. Desktop PCB router milling machine. Not like that. Like the machines that I've been looking at, that I've been seeing, are this type of scale. Why do they build such ugly looking machines? Okay, I'd love to hear, Jonathan, like what your thoughts are on either the manual or the motorized. The motorized ones are really expensive. But the manual ones also seem quite expensive. Example, what was in mind? Spring-loaded clamp, pivot point. So I'm just reading. Like a depanelizing tool with a milling bit to separate V-score will give me a nice clean edge, no problem. It's the whole Like if I've got to put a panel down and I've got to use a probe to set up every panel every single time, well, maybe that'll overall be faster, maybe it won't, I don't know. But to spend $10,000 to find out is not really something that appeals to me. Unless I can find someone else that's used one already. Good night, Chishipu. To get a single PCB and mount it. Absolutely, do you not want to pick and place single boards? That defeats the whole purpose of a pick and place machine. No, they no. Penalizing is the only way to pick and place. from a speed point of view, from a efficiency point of view, from an everything point of view. Yeah, separating boards or buying them pre-separated and trying to build a jig to load them into pick and place them. Yeah. A lot of concepts, but can you build something based on them? I mean, yeah, so I don't have a CNC, so I can't mill aluminium or whatever. So you've all managed to simplify the concept a lot, which is great, right? Do I have non-plated through holes I can use to locate and use as a jig? No. The Feather S2 does, but the Tiny Picos don't. No. We have design limits to state we can't go closer than 2 millimeters from the edge. We replace components closer to the edge. How close though? Like I've got components at the edge, like 0.2 to 0.4 of a millimeter away from the edge. Right, well that's kind of like, this is kind of like what the other manual one is like, what I was looking for, right? I mean, you look at the, yeah. The problem with stuff like this is there's a limit to how close you can put stuff to the edge. The JC doesn't hang over the edge, but it is right on the edge. Again, it's 0.2 or 0.3 of a millimeter away from the edge. And most of these manual machines, you can't get that close. Anyway, so back to the question. So this chat, this chat has done is simplified the process of what I could build and make it a manual, like a hybrid, right? Where, like Sebastian's doing right now with the design, I still don't get why you've got it. Is that just a drawing where it's closer at the edge? Because it can't be. Like, they've got to be the same width. But anyway, something where I could have, where I could push the board through manually, where it's locked so it can't move, like, so it'll be straight, and forget the sandpaper and all that, and use these deburring tools. Is that what it's called, Chris? A deburring tool or burr tool or whatever, burr bit, to clean the edges, and which would be much more durable. And the whole thing could be short because it just has to be enough track to get past two edges, right? So where I discarded my idea because I couldn't work out how would a conveyor work, and how would I get sandpaper and all these things on there. All of that has been removed now, right? It's been dramatically simplified. A carbide burr is what it's called. Carbide burr. Okay. So I could get carbide burrs. I could either try to find a small small spindles that fit in place there, or some way of having the spindle separate and push the boards through like that. Then it would just be a matter of working out how I would either have it auto adjust with springs or whatever like this, or maybe I do a fixed size. Like maybe, yeah. So maybe what it would be is the board gets put in the bottom end. So the board gets put here, wherever, right? And then it gets adjusted to the board. So I move it, because like I'm not doing a tiny Pico, then a feather, then a tiny Pico. Like I'm doing 100, 200 tiny Picos at once, right? So like it would have been nice if I never had to readjust it, or a staff member didn't have to readjust it. But that's okay if it's fixed for a period of time, and then it just gets pushed through, right? And there could just be a vacuum cleaner sitting above it. I mean, this could be a way simpler process than what I'm doing right now. A wire EDM machine. I don't know if that would... Well, I'm not sure how that would be vertical. That'd have to be as it goes through. I don't know. The minimum would be about 0.3. The minimum distance you can place components from the edge depends hardly on the tolerance of the V-score. Right, I mean, there's V-score is never accurate with JLC and even PCBWay. And then you've got, reflow can shift a JST connector forward or backwards a little bit. Yeah. Like maybe some of my boards can go through a depaneling tool like that. But if I can get a price, I'll contact these guys today, not these guys. Oh no, where's the other link? Did I close it? Oh no, these guys. I'll contact these guys today and see what they say. And get a price from them. $300,000 RPM. I don't think I need that fast. I don't need vacuum underneath if it's just sliding on the thing, right? I just need to push the board above. Let's get the motors. Yep. So the motor's from the bottom, except... Yeah, it could be high. That's fine. I'd prefer not to use sounding wheels. Like I like the idea of the burr carbide burrs. And just need a vacuum cleaner on the top. With the different variables at play, does it sound better to manually shove the boards between the wheels? Well, that's what I'm doing. Catch you later, Photochromax. Have a good sleep. Yes, I'm talking about manually just pushing them through. Elka question, is cheaper to compress the board, set the components a sub. I'm not going to change the design just so it fits inside a manual depaneling tool. Because I've already got a solution for cleaning them now. And the feather spec is the feather spec. I can't change the feather spec. Like this spec is their spec. So if I can't make the board bigger, I can't make it wider, and I can't move stuff around. Well, I wouldn't do that just to so it fits inside a milling machine. Yeah, Neil. And that doesn't help me for the thousands of panels I've already got here. And all the ones I've got incoming already. Right, except Electron Ash, I'm still, again, I don't think this is necessarily be quicker. It's not about quicker. It's about can't get it wrong. Oh, look at that. I can put these, I forgot I brought these in. Little sanding things. Anyway, it's about can't get it wrong. The process I've got right now, you can get very wrong very easily, right? Having a fixed guide where you put the board down, whether you put it one way or the other way, doesn't matter, and you push it through, can't get that wrong, as long as it's 100% reliable every time. So, I remember why I wanted the conveyor. Right, my idea with the conveyor was, I'm going to take these specs off, was that as I put them on and the conveyor pushes it along, then at the other end, right, I've got the bucket and it just goes along and falls in. They just keep falling into the bucket, right? But I could do that with pushing it. I could push it all the way off the edge and it just falls off the edge into a bucket. Okay, maybe you shouldn't drop it that far. You know what I mean? A shallower bucket would be good. So, can't get around when it comes down to having guide rails, I guess. So the sander wheels have reliable distance, pressure. That's right. Yeah, the tractor feed would probably work, but it's a complicated build, like a really complicated build, where I guess I could just push it off the edge as well. Like I started designing like little tready bits inside Fusion 360, like how would that work, and then I had ideas of like how I could push a board on and it would grab it, and then how would it throw it off the other edge. And how would the board not fall over or flip, and so's a conveyor. Right, but we've removed the conveyor. We've removed, like, that's the point. Like, you guys have convinced me, remove the conveyor, no conveyor. Push it through with my finger. My finger with a stick, a pencil. I just don't understand, but if it's vertical, then the board has to be clamped somehow to go through. I don't want the board to, like, how would it not, there's no place to grip the board to go vertical. Right, yeah, it could be on an angle, like that. But that won't push through. The carbide, the bit has to be spinning the opposite direction. So once it hits, like, if I'm pushing it through, it doesn't have to be on an angle. I'm just pushing it, right? I see what you're saying. So I push it through till it gets past, and then it slides the rest of the way, if it's on an angle. Chris, is that what you're saying? Rather than me having to push it off the edge. Right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Couldn't I 3D print the parts? Could a vacuum pickup be used? I wouldn't even need that. I can use, like, honestly, to push the board, here you go. That is what you push the board with. Pencil with a rubber in the end. Like, keep it simple. That's what you push the board with. You could probably get something even a bit softer than that. Right? It's fixed in. Look at this. I'm going to use my panels of Feather S2s to. So if that's fixed, right? And then I just push it through. And it goes out the other side. Does that make sense? So the entry point, I need to find someone here that's got a CNC that can CNC me some. I could 3D print the pieces, yes. I absolutely could. Someone asked that, I think Frank. Frank, you just asked that? Yeah. But I prefer if it was made out of metal and it was durable, right? So the entry point could be like this. Right? So there's no way... Did I get that right? Close enough. So you don't have to worry about trying to get it in. And look, yeah, the Dremel. Like, I've got a Dremel. I can buy another Dremel. I could just put 2 Dremels there with those bits on them, right? The problem is Dremels are quite big and bulky. What is that? Angang. Is that a... Anganga? I don't even know what that is. It looks cool. Anyone know what that is? Looks like a hairbrush. Fancy hairbrush. You need something like that. What's a feather? Is that a featherboard? What's a featherboard? Low profile brushless motors. Possible. I don't know. Could they run a... Like, they don't know, how fast do they need to run? Chris? Those burrs. The carbide burrs. How fast would they need to spin? Realistically. I'm not cutting. I'm just taking the edges off, right? So... I do have air here. Yes, compressed air. Yep. I've got two compressors. Carbide likes high speed. Right, but I'm not cutting, remember? Okay, then it has been quite fast. Okay. So would little brushless motors be... Don't forget, there's not going to be any resistance on them. Fingertips do not. Right, that's why I didn't say don't use your finger. The air-driven die grinders. Yeah, how much are they, Chris? For reference, Chris is talking about these. Hang on. Talking about these. Do you have a link? Like to a website that sells them? Oh, you sent a link? Dude, there are so many posts in here. I probably missed it. Sorry for all the scrolling, everyone. Dentist drill. Hey, Alan, are you watching? Did you send a link, Chris? I can't see one. But I might have missed it. And resent. Okay. There's a lot of posts. Yeah, I mean, these brushless motors. Is it working yet? Okay, wow. So that bit on the end, so what is that that's on the end? Like, what exactly is it? So these must be tiny. I didn't expect it to be so small. Right, so that's... So then I could put the carbide burr into this. Yeah, Alan is around, but he can't talk in the chat right now. Wonder if Alan's got any dentist drills. I've never seen these before. Wow. Okay, well, this fine. Pick a bread that fits the collet. Okay. Well, no, the motor is the priority because it would totally dictate how the frame is built. Something like this would be quite easy to just... This is easy to mount inside a frame, a simple frame, where if I had to mount a spindle or a brushless motor, that's a whole different thing, right? Okay. For this price, I might pick up a couple of these anyway. Just to give it a go. Yep, 3D printer mounting bracket. And to start with, 3D print a thing to push the board through. I still have to work out how I get the width of it, unless I make them fixed. But see, that's the thing. Oh. I mean, for this price, honestly, and if the rest of it's 3D printed and it's manually pushed through, then I'd just buy 4 of these and I'd make a Feather S2 version and a Tiny Pico version. I'd have 2 different versions. And I won't have to worry about adjusting them. I was expecting these things to be hundreds of dollars. So, yeah, at this price, I'd make 2 unique things. No, I'm not making a CNC. I want to make something that I can clean the edges. The units at Gem Cuts also have quick release of the tools. Hang on. Gem Cuts. Let's have a look at Gem Cuts. Untitled core drill bits. Oh, little axie thing. So what am I looking for here? Have they got... So what... You're talking about like these bird kits? Helmet? Cool, Alan. No worries. I'll put the kettle on. I can't make out the price. Of which ones? The adjustable width was a major requirement because I thought it was going to be on a conveyor and I thought it was going to have a much more complex sanding build system or something, right? But between all these different discussions, we've managed to strip almost all of it away. We are, well, they're not free cable tie. I mean, we've gone from stage 4 to stage 3.7. I mean, still masks in, masks outside, no visitors at home, blah, blah, blah. Freer, yeah. Please browse Gem Cuts to see... Yeah, I'm at Gem Cuts now. Yep. Nail polish drill. Nail polish drill? Yeah, I mean, Chris is right. I could automate it, the pulling through later if I could get this process working and reliable, right? Parallelogram design will allow distance adjustments while keeping the sides parallel. Sure. But again, it might just end up being easier to have 2 different jigs, at least for the prototype. Just need a bit of a guide rail, 5 or 6 boards long leading in. Yeah, and then a little bit on the way out. Oh, what is that? Link to? Is that a... Yeah, I mean, I've got a Dremel. Is that a little Dremel? Or is that the same size as mine? I think mine's bigger than that. I think I got the Dremel 4000. It's in it. Oh, is that the extension? Right, I've got that as well. Sure. But setting up, like, that's still massive though. And setting up 2 Dremels, yeah. Paul's just posted in here. Go back to the original standing concept. The 2 standing belts can slide apart on the base rails. The angle extrusion are fixed. Sure, but turning this into something that works is going to be extremely hard. Like, how do they rotate? And how does the sandpaper stay on these rollers? and where are the motors? Yeah, and stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like, going from a concept drawing's fine. Turning that into an actual working system becomes much harder. Catch you later, Aaron. Thanks very much for your help. Appreciate it. Should put mono start and same. On my drawings, only the two opposite sides are not at the same distance. Yeah, I still don't understand in your drawing, Sebastian, why they're not the same distance. Like, I don't understand how that would work. One above and one below. Why one above and one below? That's going to be awkward to... Potentially awkward. I don't know. Why wouldn't you do them both on the bottom? Oh, because of the change of direction. Right. Okay. Yes. It'd be the same with the Dremel. You need one below and one above. Right. But yeah, a brushless motor, or some type of motor that was going to some gears or something, would fix that. Like, I could... Like, if one of those air things was just driving a gear that was driving, or some... it was driving some... What's it called? T5, T something belts that were driving the things. Yes, wagon loads. That's what I'm doing. Well, that's what I'm looking at doing. PCB edge sander. For tiny PCBs. Tiny, delicate PCBs. Yeah, look, it'd just be easier to mount one above and one below if that was the case. The one above would be on the other side. Keep it out the way. Okay, so honestly... So this has worked. Many of you might not think so, but this has worked. Right, this has completely simplified my original concept and shown me a stack of new products that I'd never seen before, and terminology and stuff I hadn't seen before, and I think I can make something out of this that would be way more foolproof and pretty much remove all user error from this. The bit takes off 1 mm to the board edge, so the lead in is 1 mm wider than the lead out. Right. Okay, thank you. You're explaining why Sebastian's is narrower at one end than the other end, right? Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Okay. Although it doesn't have to be narrower at the other end, because once it's gone through, right. I don't know if it needs that much tolerance. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Did someone post what a featherboard is? Because I think I've asked a few times. I'm not sure. Featherboard Bunnings. Right, like, so that other thing was a featherboard, but I don't understand how that works. Well, firstly, they're too big. It's a featherboard because they can bend. Oh, right, you can't see my screen. Sorry. You mean these things because they can bend, right? Yeah, so that yeah, I don't know how big that is, but that I need something way softer. Like, that'd be way too hard. To print it to size. Right. So going from Sebastian's earlier, let's just go back to here. Where is it? And Hansi was similar, right? So I mean, many of you have come up with the same type of thing. Right. So are these lines here the feather to indicate the featherboard? Right? Is that what they're for? So there's something on this side that pushes the board towards this edge. And then there's something on this side that pushes the board towards this edge. So if that's the case, the board, like, these edges can be straight still. Like, it doesn't need to be out further. And that could just be the drawing. Right, okay. That makes sense. Okay. So this could be quite easily fabricated, right? I mean, this has, apart from the two spinning bits, it has no moving parts. My original idea had stacks of moving parts, right? Which is why I couldn't work out how to do it. But this completely simplifies everything. It doesn't need the springs either, but it could if it was adjustable, right? This could still be adjustable from one side, where the springs keep it together if it's on a rail, right? No, I get they're just plain metal guides. I understand that. Sorry. Yeah. I'm just saying this could be extrapolated out. Yeah, that's wagon load. Yeah, that we're well beyond. Sorry, I know you came in late, but we've simplified down to this. I suggest the drone motors, pancake brushless, cheap ESCs mounted underneath. Right, the problem with the brushless motors is it's the FR4 dust. Like, it's insane. So the pneumatic stuff, I think would be way less susceptible to getting ruined from the FR4. Right, but there's got to be a gap around where the spinning thing is, and that's where all of the FR4 dust is going to pull through, because the spinning is going to cause air turbulence, and that is exactly the point of where it's being cut, right? Catch you later, Hybotics. Yep. Everyone's help has been awesome. They've been applying pressure. You're talking about the feather thingos again, feather boards, right? But mine would have to be very, like soft, very light pressure. But that's what the gap is. There's a motor spindle sticking through. There's got to be some clearance around the spindle, right? And that's the point where things are being cut. Anyway, take a belt sander and go and sand the edges of some PCBs and have a look at the shit it leaves everywhere. 3 or 4 meters around, right? Without some grommet, dust will trickle, will little more than trickle down. I would assume that there'd be some type of spinning. Yes, a laser or water jet would ruin the board. Yep. You need a good dust extractor. Yeah, and it's got to be really close to the cuts. That's the problem. That's why they need to be the two bits cutting need to be as close to each other as possible to get a vacuum cleaner, to get enough air coming out. Have I thought about press? You mean pressure using pneumatics? I've got 2 pretty good compressors. Mr. Bonds, what have I missed? Can you put positive air pressure down with the motors to push dust up into another extractor? Throw a full sheet in press. What? Yeah, not looking at a CNC. Thanks, Robotrix. Yeah, the Dremels and the dentist drills and all that be very long, but these things aren't very long. Well, they hose length 59 inches. Does it tell you how long the actual handpiece is? Is there any specs? No, I can't see how long the handpiece is. Chris, do you have one of these like at hand that you could measure how long it is? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not looking specifically for depaneling, but I'm not sure that I'm pretty sure this is not what I'm looking for. Yeah, I don't want a desktop press cutter. Because they're all, like, all my boards are different sizes. And these look quite, yeah. Too many different types of panel sizes and panels, and starting at $500. Yeah, no. Thanks. I'm using mine or special design. If you have a lip on the top rail by the cutting wheels to keep the boards down. You can push them in sequence from the back. But I can't have a lip because there's no clearance. It'll hit components, so there can't be a lip. It's got to be free. It's got to be completely clear. Edge, yes. Can't be a lip at all. You need clearance between the boards for the press paneling. Yeah, I have no clearance between my boards. Okay. This is for after parts are on the board. This is cleaning the edges of finished boards. Right, again, I'm worried about getting debris into the motor. But sure, something like this could also work. Now, this has nothing to do with JLC PCB and the drill holes. This is just cleaning edges of boards when they've been depanelized. So one option is I buy a proper depanelizing tool, like a milling tool that can cut up my boards and leave me with clean edges, you know, at a $10,000, $15,000 price point. Or the other one is I separate the boards like I'm doing right now and then clean the edges, which I'm doing, but I want a simpler, less potential for user error way of doing it than what I'm doing it right now. So I can hand it off to someone else to do. I would never ask an employee or anyone to clean the board edges like I clean them right now. Never. I would never do it. But I need a solution that someone could do it if they wanted to. Can you not build the slides on top of a small vise? I guess, sure, but it probably wouldn't need that. I could probably, again, like, do it out of, like I could even prototype it in 3D with a 3D printed with a vise, you know, that I could adjust by hand in 3D print, like, yeah, like a Dave 2, yeah, or someone. Oh my gosh, my coffee, it's cold. Ice cold. Okay, so I think we've got a clear path now. Thank you, everybody. See, that did work. That was good. No, I don't cut them apart with the CNC. No. Make the device mechanism into the design. Sure. I'm waiting, Hansi. Don't worry. When I slot down. Because cleaning mouse bite edges is way harder than cleaning V-score. Like, way harder. Like, a million times dramatically harder. I'm not interested in having bits of mouse bites sticking out the sides of my boards. Cleaned or not, right? I want a nice, clean edge. Johnny, don't say that. So yeah, I'm not looking... Mouse bites is not a solution. Slots of mouse bites is not a solution to improve this. That is way harder to clean. So, it's a lot more material to remove, and I want it to be flush again with the edge. I'll show you if I can find my boards. Right. So, take this panel, yeah? Mouse bites. Nice clean edges everywhere, yeah? You think that'd be great to work with, but that leaves you with this. Okay, and cleaning that is way harder because I want a flat edge. I want the edge to look like, where'd I put it? Bear with me a moment while I look all over my desk for my other board. Oh, come on. You hear a little, here it is, right. I want that edge to look like this. Oops, nice and flat. I need to brighten this up again now. There we go. Okay, getting this from this is 10 times more work than cleaning the edge of this. Because that's got to be sanded back, but you know how hard it is to sand it back and not cut into these sides? Really, really hard. Right, these need to be cut out. Like this needs to be cut with a tool, like a machine, like what Chris linked to. So I do not want to put mouse bites into my designs because it will not. It'll make it harder, much harder for me to clean my edges than what I'm doing right now. V-score is the way to go for sure. Any plans on to bring the Tiny Pico price down? No plans. I mean, right now it's going up because of the silicon shortage, but no plans to bring it down. I mean, they're not cheap boards to make. They don't have cheap parts on them, and they're time consuming. And I mean, it's unfortunate that they're. I mean, $20 is the right price point for the boards. I don't believe they need to be cheaper than that. But it's unfortunate right now that my price is higher because of the silicon shortage. Yeah, I mean, everything has gone up dramatically in price. No, trimming mouse bites is not hard. You are just doing it wrong. Yeah, I don't think so. The edge of the boards that are clean need rollers. Sorry, what? Yeah, it's screwing everyone over. I mean, people either can't get parts or parts are like horrifically expensive. Sure, I appreciate that, Dave, but yeah, well, I offer. I mean, the more you buy, the cheaper the price gets. But for the time being, like right now, I'm struggling to not lift my price again. I mean, my prices have gone up again on components. This is the fourth time, and shipping's gone up again, and I keep wearing the prices. But there's no silicon shortage, this is doping and etching. Well, that's kind of true. A roller on the smooth edge. A trimmer. No idea what you're talking about, Leaf Me, but I want a completely flat edge, a rounded edge. I don't want to see any markings that shows that there were mouse bites ever there. Right? So, anyway. Sure, Chris, I will. I might grab a coffee first before I do that, but yes, I will. What metal nail drill bits in the CNC mini machine? Yeah, I'm not CNCing my boards, but thank you though. No, I discussed that before. I'm not sticking my boards in a Banggood CNC machine. Product you may want to consider making came up recently. Yeah, okay, cool, yeah. Happy to chat with you, Chris. I'll ping you afterwards. We spoke about stacking boards before, Leaf. There's no way to stack my little boards, and the time it takes to stack them to be able to clean the edge, I could have cleaned all the boards already before I stacked them. You can set it to a table. So what do we? I don't understand what we're talking about now about stacking. No. Oh, I might buy a charm high CNC. No charm highs. So before we go, before I wrap up, you guys want to see my new test jig? What other parts of your build process are the most time consuming for us to ponder off? Air. Right. Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to optimize all of this stuff, but not just optimize, but make it easier to hand over to someone else, right? So my test jig. So, check it. Check it, yo. Well, you've all seen my new test jig. But I have a Feather S2 adapter now. And I have a tiny Pico adapter. And I have a tiny S2 adapter. And I've been using this test jig. And it is freaking awesome. And so I've been refining the code. Working. And it's all one code base. And so I can grab I don't know if this is a good or a bad Feather S2. It's just on my desk. But I can grab a Feather S2. Listen to this. Listen. You ready? Oh, I got these really nice USB connectors, cables. I don't know how long they'll last for. I can put it down. Oh, did I kill it? Hang on. I did. That's okay. I was mucking around with the code this morning. So, you can't see. It says full test. It's a bit glary. You see? No. Anyway. And I can put the board on. I'm still playing around with the visuals. Clamp it down with my sliding clamp. Clamp. Go. So I can basically unplug the adapter, plug in a different adapter. It recognizes what it is, put a board in, and off we go. And it is so cool. And so this has simplified things for me. I've still only built one of these because I want to play around with the audio on it. It's still not good. And right now I'm doing, for instance, 2 boards at a time with my old jig and my new jig. But I will pull apart all my old jigs and make these ones. And this has simplified stuff completely. Much easier jig to use than my previous one. See, done. 44 seconds. And it's the in and out, it's impossible to get it in the wrong spot. Where with the way I had these constructed before, it wasn't. And it's impossible to break the pogos because the board sits on here. Like, I can push it as much as I want. It doesn't damage the pogos in any way. Right? Because the base here stops it from going down. These can be removed and easily changed. They're just 3D printed. And it's just working from the EEPROM. So what I don't have working right now, I can even remove this. What I don't have working right now is if I pull this out, it won't detect that it's gone. I still have to add that, right? So it says load Feather S2. If I put the tiny S2 one in, it still says Feather S2. It doesn't know it's come out. So for the moment, I have to stop it and restart the code, right? But see, it now says load TinyS2. So it just reads it off the EEPROM. But the code to do that is easy, right? I just need to try to read from the EEPROM. And if it's not there, it throws an error. What it'll do is this. If I start it up without oops, I didn't do that. Oh, help if I click in the right window. If I start it up without an adapter, oh, you can't see that. It says no adapter. Right? Until I put one in. So if I grab a tiny Pico one, load tiny Pico. So, building but thank you. Have another idea that might work and will be very simple to build. Another idea and be simple to build. Where did you link to it? Hansi? Oh, here. What? You do get cutters that has holes in them. Another idea. Oh, what if you have a spinning shaft spinning towards the board, sliding through? That will keep the boards down. Spinning shaft. I don't understand. How does that spinning shaft? Wagon loads, yeah, I don't need to do that. I mean, oh god, it's getting me out of focus. It will, like, I just have to, there's one line of code I need to add that will detect if the adapter's out. It doesn't need to do that. It reads it from the adapter. I just haven't done that bit of code yet, that's all. That should that not be F5? No, so the F3 is test jig number 3. Every test jig has a unique number, and the function key will be the number of the test jig. Oh, you're glitching. Car drove past, got glitched. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by this, Hansi. Ooh, what is this, Bruce? Is that a hand little sander? Mini sander? Ah, okay. My life has been building up to this. Okay. Anyway, so test jigs are a go. I'm going to keep refining the code, and I've got some more pretty stuff to do on the screen. Some of it looks a bit ugly still. But I can now test all of my boards, and doing a new board definition. Like if I want to do one for my Feather S2 Neo, then I just need to make another adapter with a different ID in the EEPROM and build a board definition for it. Tell it what the firmware and UF2 files are and what pins to test, and that's it. That's really quick to do. So what was that? What did Paul just post? Yeah, these little sanders, the problem is they get filled up with FR4. So, okay. I think that's it. Thank you all. I am going to... Loving the sliding clamp. Which sliding clamp? Oh, on the test jig, yeah. Thanks, Quindor. Thank you. thank you everyone for your thoughts. I think that we did a missing a screw. Yeah, I'm short ones. Oh, can't see. I'm these front ones have to be shorter than the back ones, and I lost one of my short screws. I need to grab one and cut one. So yeah, I don't know where it is. Somewhere on my desk or on my floor. I don't know. I have a screw loose. I have more than one. Can you hear the rain? Can you hear the thundering rain? Wow. It is torrential outside. Okay. I think that you guys have given me, guys and girls have given me an awesome way forward with this. I am going to design something up. I'm going to 3D print a prototype and see how it goes. And I might do all that without the motors first, just to see how it all kind of fits together. But yeah, this is really cool. Really cool. I thank you all for your help. I think it's going to be great. I think we can build something that's going to be way better than what I'm doing right now. Way better. So that was the plan. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a fantastic day. And I'm going to go get a haircut soon. Yay. Chris, I'll ping you in a few moments. No, I don't want a pizza cutting wheel. Okay. Thanks everyone. Take care.